When I left Smith, I wasn't a freelancer. I always wanted to be a writer, but I decided to go into marketing, public relations, and advertising. And I thought that would be a way to get my writing out there, but with getting a paycheck, because I always believed if you were a writer, you just lived in a garret and never got any money. So I did that for 10 years, and I finally just knew I was not cut out to be someone who worked in the corporate world. And I'm glad now that I did work in that world, because I just did decide to freelance. And it gave me a lot of skills to learn how to structure my time as a writer. I think the world is changing for journalists and for freelancers, and it's the tough survive. So you have to learn how to be really flexible. That might mean doing different types of writing that you're not used to, or branching out into new media. I actually think Twitter and Facebook and all those things are so much fun, and have a world of opportunities for writers to explore. So I think it's a fun and exciting time. Well, I think if you write about the environment right now, or green, anything energy related, anything that's relating to the next 50 years, that's going to be good. I think science writing, I wish I had taken more science classes at Smith. That's my one regret. There's just so much to write about there. I write about food, and I found that through this last recession, I was busier than ever, because I do recipe development too, and more people were cooking at home. And so that was something I could bring to the table that a lot of other writers couldn't. Well, the renegade writer is kind of a misnomer. I don't want to say it's to make you pick up the book, but it came about because we read all these. I wrote the book with a co-author, and we read all the writing books, and they kind of made a writer sound kind of subservient, that you should just roll over, and what editors ask you to do, you should do it. And I came from a business background, and I conducted myself as a freelancer like a business person. And that's what's the renegade message, is that you are a business person, you behave like a business person, you call editors when you need to call them. There's like this rule that you shouldn't ever pitch an editor by the phone. Well, sometimes you should do that. And the nice thing, I was telling one of the editors that was in our panel that I'm always afraid when an editor says that they read The Renegade Writer, because I'm just waiting for them to go, but they always say, oh, it was a great book. I tell all my writers to read this book. So we really think it demystifies the whole process of pitching stories, and we've gotten tremendous response from the book. People really respond to it, and it gives them a lot of confidence, and it's got a positive message. I think a lot of writing is going to the web. I don't think it's particularly well-paying, which is very frightening to me. I'm actually doing a story on this for the Renegade Writers website, where I've put myself out there to just find jobs on the web and see if I can make any kind of living, and stay tuned for the results. But I have gotten a lot of work writing for companies who have their own magazines, their own house magazines. There's just an awful lot of material being written. I'm one of these people, whenever I go to a doctor's office, I'm rifling through the magazine stacks, because there's always something interesting there, and it's not something you'll find on the newsstand, but there is an awful lot of work out there. It's keeping your eyes open. For example, I'm writing an iPhone application. I'm not doing the software, I'm doing the copy for it. And 2 years ago, that would have been unheard of, but there are opportunities there for writers that just weren't there a couple years ago. I think one thing that all freelancers need to know is no matter how good of a writer you are, you're going to get rejections. And I think that rejections they take a greater amount of space than they should in a writer's life. I look at rejection as business decisions, not a personal rejection of me or my work. I have never gotten a rejection letter that said, "Dear Diana, you are a terrible writer, never pitch me again, sincerely, editor." It just doesn't happen. It's always, this was a great idea, but we've just done this, or it's not quite right, pitch us again. They're, again, business decisions. It has nothing to do with me personally. And I always think if you're out getting a lot of rejections, you're doing what a writer should do, and you're getting your work out there. Don't be one of those writers that's so afraid to put your stuff out there that those letters, what's the worst that anyone can say to you? No, big whoop. And I can tell you the editors don't like saying no. It's just part of the job, and you just move on. And there's so many other wonderful things about freelancing that don't let it take more room than it needs to take.